Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Sean. This is Sound Performance Psychology. This is the Midday Reset. Special day today. We have a big guest coming up shortly. Mr. Pharm is backstage waiting. But in the meantime, for the first couple of minutes, we're going to do what we always do, and we're going to get ourselves regulated. Take a look at the screen. How are you doing today? Are you green and following your rules? Are you green and breaking your rules? That's about the worst thing you can be doing. Red and following, red and breaking your rules. Where is your head at? What is in the box? Do it. Read through what to watch for. Read through the coping. As usual, get your hands off the keyboard. Get your hands off the mouse. Bracket the trade. And focus on yourself. How are you feeling? What's going on inside your skin? Are you feeling up and high and like your foot's a dick long? Or are you feeling down in the dumps like you blew your whole week? Or somewhere in between? If you're on the edges, you need to ground. You need to look at the red and breaking your rules, the green and breaking your rules, or the red and following your rules. And find those coping mechanisms and do them. Everyone talks about them and they don't do them. People roll their eyes at coping mechanisms because they never freaking do them. They don't build up the substrate inside of their nervous system to get it to work consistently because they don't put the effort in it like they do for staring at charts for 15 hours a day. So be different. Give yourself that edge. Before we get started. Oh, we do have a new sponsor. I wanted to announce. I forgot about that. Today's sponsor is hindsight bias, making you feel like an idiot since the first chart you ever looked at. Thank you, hindsight bias, for sponsoring us today. So hopefully you've taken some breaths. Hopefully you've got regulated. We have a much bigger audience than usual. Thank you for coming out and checking it out. I appreciate you all. We're going to get chat up on screen. No, chat is up on screen. What's up, Wee Wop? Terry, hey, what's up? Everybody out there, I missed you. Haven't looked just quite yet. So, who is here today? The man, the Cavs, the legend, Mr. Pharm D. Pharm D is a discretionary trader with 30 years experience. ES, SPX, SPY markets. Started trading in 1990, has evolved a long-term investing into developing a proprietary methodology, blending supply and demand, volume analysis, market, auction theory that he calls trading doggy style, which I did not know until yesterday. It's a pretty awesome name. We're going to talk about that. He's entirely self-taught, operates across multiple time frames, day trading futures, swing trading, maintaining long-term equity positions. He's built a big community through FinTwit, Discord, Substack, all that good stuff. He provides market analysis, real-time trade management, and educational content. That's really what I'm going to talk to him a lot about today. What distinguishes his approach is his emphasis on, precise entry identification through imbalance analysis, price action structure, rather than on indicators or mechanical systems. With no further ado, we are going to bring on Mr. Pharm D. What's up, Pharm D?
Hey, I was told this was a premature ejaculator support group. I feel like I was hoodwinked, brought to you by HIMS. I'm clearly in the wrong place.
Your wife wanted me to have a talk with you. She paid a lot of money for this intervention. You better stay, sir. You better stay.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be on here.
I appreciate you coming on very much.
Yeah. Want to do something a little bit different in the middle of the day, especially break things up right as the index is making some big decisions, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's part of why I do this in the middle of the day is people need to take that break and get regulated. And that's why the stream is also short. Generally, it can be 15 to 30 minutes because no one wants to sit and talk trade psych all day. I understand that. It's not the sexy topic, but it's also the thing that, will get you past the goal, as you know. So as I'm realizing I've already pulled my first boomer mistake of the day and don't have my questions out for you. I do know my first question though.
Go
Does
for it.
she think you're funny?
What's that? Am I what? Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, right? Where like most of the time it's the Timberlake stare. When I crack one of my, she does though, like in the end, you know, she does appreciate the humor, but like at the same time, like if one of the kids says something like, wow, that was fast, you know, she'll look over at me and, you know, kind of smile and like, you know, we share the same joke. She sees everything I post. Like there's people out there that are like, oh, you shouldn't make wife jokes. And I'm like, she literally laughs at these. Like she's the one
That's what
telling me some of these jokes. Like
That's
we've been together.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we've been
That's
together
very smart.
24 years, I think. You know,
Wow,
marriage and dating.
congratulations.
So like, yeah, I don't have any issues there, guys. So yeah, we have good fun together for sure.
Good. That's something I thought many times reading your post. I'm like, wonder how if her eyes just roll out of her head, or if she's like knee slapping, having a good time.
Sometimes both at the same time.
So this is my first non-clinical interview, first public interview. So bear with me, but we're just gonna dive right in. Tell me the stupidest thing you've ever done trading. Tell us.
I mean, ever's tough. I'd have to think a little bit harder because it honestly, why it's become tough is now that I've become a shameless subseller. I tend to remember my fuck ups from like these days more. Like I should try not to drop the F bomb too much on your YouTube because
I swear all the time on the stream and it gets penalized. No big.
Yeah. Like those are the ones that stick in my head, right? It really drives me nuts when I shit the bed, like we all do, with some kind of a read, or usually it's execution, and usually it's something that you broke your rules, right? So the one that sticks in mind for me was, and if the guys that are in the chat, if they've been there since 2024, like, I mean, it's kind of funny how stupid this was. But so I had this thesis going into 2025. First of all, like I was certain that indices were just going to shit the bed in 2025. I was also very certain that into the end of 2024, this was like October, I think. And so I was thinking October, November, we're going to be up big. And so NQ was balancing. I want to say it was a multi-week balance. And I was like, here's the play. I'm looking for this pullback here at this spot, right? Within this balance, I'm going to try to front run a break of this balance. And I want to try to remember what those strikes were. Yeah, it was, I said, I'm going to buy January 510 calls and I'm going to buy March 530s. And I even said the plan is I'm going to sell the 510s when the 530s go in the money, right? And this is like, we were trading, I don't know, like something in the fours maybe, or like maybe it was five. I don't know. We had a ways to go. Yeah, no, I'm trying to look at my chart. It was the end of October. We were trading like 490s. And so that was the plan, genius plan. And the day that I was looking for maybe this pullback, right, to get into this perfect entries, beautiful setup, instead of pulling back, it breaks out. And so I don't take those trades. Like I don't take breakout trades unless it's like, you know, later on a pretty solid back test. And I was like, you know, I've hyped up this trade. Like it just got to me, right? Like got in my head. I was like, I hyped up that trade. And I was just like, fuck it. And so I slapped this breakout and then boom, failed breakout, just shits the bed. And like, I end up, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I never do that. Why did I do that? And the funniest thing is I stopped out and then like, I don't know, maybe the next day it hit the spot that I was going to enter. Right. And then of course we all know what happened. We ripped tits into January.
Yes, we did.
In February, and they both went in the money with time to spare. And like, my thing is like when I shit the bed, like, and I screw up execution and I make a bad decision, like I won't take it again. Like if I take a good trade and like I do what I was supposed to do and do what I said I was going to do, and it like doesn't work, like I get stopped out, but like the trade is still valid, like I'll try it again. But when I just shit the bed like that, I just kind of shut it down. And like I even told everybody, I was like, oh, you know, if you're still in, like whatever, like the trade's valid. They're bagged, you know, 20-30% or whatever, like, which for me is not cool. I know the 0 day gang's like 20%. I was like, I just lost 20% in 1 minute candle.
Yeah,
but like for me, you know,
I expect
size
them to go
on
down.
a multi-month swing, like that's kind of a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever. And of course, like, I mean, it went ape shit and they both went in the money and I just like watched it go. But that's like what I do. Like when I screw up, that's my punishment is like, no, that's it. You don't get it.
When you tell me that story, do you notice feeling anything about it when you're telling me like inside, like do you feel it in your body?
I get a little hot, right? Face gets a little hot. It's like, God, I'm so stupid, you know? So for me, you know, if I get pissed off at myself a little bit, face will get a little bit flushed, right? Start feeling a little bit hot. Like, man, I can't believe I did that. That was so stupid. The guys are saying IWM, but like, that's kind of a meme. Like it wasn't as bad. IWM is a thing. Like if I buy IWM calls, it's going to limit down the next day. If I buy IWM puts, it's going to limit up the next day. It's a thing. It's kind of half a joke, but not like a joke at all. But like, no, the QQQ was like a true, like, wow, did that really happen situation.
So you're telling me is Pradiat 21 is trolling you, kind of?
Out of love. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And he's telling me, please let the next stream be in 1080p. Am I not in 1080p? What am I in? Am I in? What? How could you?
He's probably complaining I don't look fat enough. He's like, resolution's not good enough. I can see his entire body.
That's why I've got it low. You know, you got to try to hide the truth as much as possible. Sponsored to you by High. I'm just rolling back in chat to make sure we got everybody. All right. So thank you for that. The other question, I have a few like selfish questions, and then we're going to get into ones I think will help people a bit. You and I think, are the same level of geezer. Your beard is well wafted, so I can't quite tell how gray it is. But how did you get, like, your social media is ridiculous. It's both funny and good. Like I did follow you. I was briefly I was in your room for a while before you were even on Udeli, right? So I didn't know who you were. A friend of mine was like, "You gotta check this guy out." Where does that come from? Have you been into social media? Is it just because you're a lunatic? What's the deal?
Yeah, so actually I can't stand social media, to be honest.
It doesn't show you're good at it.
Yeah, I generally hate it. But I do enjoy like what I do. Like it entertains me now. Like X actually entertains me. But like I was totally resistant to it. I think I was on it in 2018. Like I was never actually on X in 2018. And what it started, because I mean I had like, I don't know, a few hundred followers, maybe a couple thousand in, I don't know, 2019, no, not even that many. I mean, like it was hundreds 2019. 2020, like it got a little bit higher because I would interact with some guys about like some biotech stocks, you know, and everybody was slapping bullshit in 2020. Like it didn't matter what you bought, it went up.
Oh boy, that was
yeah. So like I had a few followers, but it was very, very small. I didn't really post. I didn't really bother posting my own ideas. I just like did my own thing. And honestly, when I started posting, it's kind of funny. When we got brought back to the office, because I was able to work from home 2020 to like, I don't know, end of 21 or like maybe early 22, I'm not sure. They brought us back to the office, and so I was used to like having multiple monitors and like sitting at home at least for a couple of years straight, as I had, you know, been more actively trading. Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background, I don't know. And I was like, well shit, I need to like find a way to not overtrade. Because like I was always so disciplined sitting at home because I was like working, right? So I'm getting paid, and like if I didn't take a trade, it was fine. I would just like sit there and wait for things to set up. And I brought back to the office. I was like, how am I going to not overtrade this shit, right? And so I just started posting as a means to like have something to do, because the job's fucking boring, right? I mean, like most jobs, all jobs at the time. And so yeah, I would just start saying, like, just posting like what was going to happen on the index. Mostly it started like replying to people that had bigger accounts, and making some like friends, right? And then I just started posting on my own, like what was going to happen with the index, and it kind of like caught some attention. People were like, what the fuck? Like, you know, it was the exact spot. Like, how did you know that? And it was just, I never had a really a following, so it just kind of caught attention. I would say in like maybe 2022, I think is when, I think it was 2022. I started posting more.
Yeah, my guy Taylor was like, check this guy out because you were nailing these levels. And he was like, how the hell is this guy nailing these levels? It was very interesting.
I
You
like
did
Taylor. He's a good dude.
burst on to the scene. So did Crudelli reach out to you?
Yeah. One of my members worked with him pretty closely with like his older productions that he had always done in his show, and said, hey, like you should have this guy on. He's kind of funny, because he was in the room and like I'm just always making jokes, right? I mean, like there's a lot of times when shit's boring. So like if I'm shit posting and you're in a trade, it's probably a shitty trade, like let's be honest, or it was a really good trade and like we're super green and just sitting on runners and there's nothing left to do but like tell some jokes, right? Like if we're flat, if I'm flat, and I'm shit posting, there's no trade. So that's kind of how it goes. So she thought it was fun.
New market sentiment indicator.
Yes.
Is Pharm D shit posting? Cut trades.
That's right. Like if I'm dead silent, I mean, unless, now I'm home and like maybe I'm running the kid around or something like that. But there was always a thing, and they'll confirm in the chat. Like if I'm real quiet and real short, then I'm hawking something big time. Like I'm looking for something and watching something very closely. So shit posting time is like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't fuck around and take too many trades here because they're probably shitty.
Yeah. I think there's an art form to making sure you have other things to do while things are shitty, to get yourself regulated, and that's what you said. When I hear you say that, I hear, oh, this is how he regulates his nervous system. This is how he keeps himself out of fight, flight, or freeze. Social engagement, whether it's literal or whether it's with a kind of a social system, does keep you regulated. So shit posting, in theory, is a good coping mechanism. But your point reminds me, and also because I see her in chat, and Speed Skater Girl says, yo, wish you were as Gen X as I am, which means she's older than we are. But I did want to give a shout out because she's actually why we're talking today. And she's a student of both of ours. And she DM'd me one day and was like, hey, you should talk to Pharm D. He's really, really passionate about, so thank you, Leslie. So he's really, really passionate about education. It reminds me of you, or something to that effect. Leslie, you tell me. I don't remember.
He's fat and old. Is that what she said? She reminded me. That's probably what it was.
You guys will relate. But that was really it. It was we'll relate because we're fat and old, and we'll relate because we both have a passion for teaching. Where does that come from? I mean, is this back from your days working on your Pharm D like a lunatic, like all Pharm D students are, or like where does this come from?
I actually, when it comes to teaching, I actually taught as young as like 13, actually, maybe 12. Yeah. So I was in like karate since I was like 5. And so they ended up paying me under the table when I was like 12 or whatever, maybe even younger, honestly. I might have been like 11. And I would teach like the kids classes and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. And then like, from there, I actually, when I was in high school, I was the substitute teacher for the math class. Like actually though, what you can't do is not a thing, but like what they would do is they would have the substitute come in and like, they're just, they can't teach. Right. So they would just babysit, and then I would teach the math class. Cause I was always like an advanced class. So like I've always been teaching pretty much my whole life, and definitely have enjoyed that. I enjoy it when people give a shit and like want to learn, right? So I'm really passionate about that.
To find that.
It is. And I push it, like, and my guys will tell you, like I'm in there 20 hours a day sometimes, generally running the room, during cash hours. I'm like with, the main group, and then I've got like my group of students that kind of want to take it further. And yeah, I mean, I'll be in there 20 hours a day, and I'm fine with that. If people are engaged and asking good questions, want to learn. And then of course, but I mean, there's like no end to, how much it annoys me when somebody like doesn't give a shit. Right. And like, doesn't want to learn, and just wants, a handout. I mean, they say I never get upset, but it's not true. I just fake it. But that's the kind of thing that pisses me off when people, they want it handed to them, and don't want to work for it. So
yeah,
definitely.
I do not hide my upset when I'm annoyed with people. I'm an expressor. But it's interesting. Finding passionate people is tricky, especially trade psych, because it's nowhere near as sexy as what is, learning TA or direct trader education, because that has more, direct correlation in people's minds. So it's tough to find the audience. Like I found out in the past couple of years that, Google searches on Earth, there's less than 10,000 a month for trading psychology, which is like crazy. It doesn't even go lower. They don't even measure. So it might not even be that. And most of them are in Punjab, I think. So which I do not speak, although I have had a lot of Indian clients. But anyways, so passion, I just lost my train of thought. Speaking of being a geezer. Oh, yeah. So also, how long did you keep up on the martial arts, out of curiosity?
I think it was about 17 or 16. I got kind of more into baseball when I was in, like middle school, high school. Still did the martial arts. And then I moved on to my next passion, which was girls. Became very good at that. So I kind of had to cut a sport out. And girls wasn't about to get cut out as the athletic competition. So yeah, I was kind of over it, done with high school anyway. Didn't really have time for that going on to college. So it was probably like 16, 17, I think. I still I went back and I was actually doing some mixed martial arts in 2019 into 2020. And then when COVID hit and everything was shut down, I was considering doing an amateur fight, as funny as that is. But and then COVID hit and I was like, I'm probably going to get fat with COVID. I'm just going to do it right. I'm not going to no half-ass measures at getting fat. I don't do anything halfway. Right. So I'm either eating, 10,000 calories a day or 500. So I did it right. I wasn't a quitter. If there was food, it was gone. I don't give up on these things. And I just pushed through. And we got the fatness up. So, but yeah, that was kind of the end of that. So now I can't even bend over and tie my shoes without getting winded. But back in the day, I actually looked kind of like a Chad Mendez. I'm 3.5 feet tall, but stocky and ripped. But now I'm just 3.5 feet tall and 3.5 feet wide. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm almost 6.5 feet tall and I'm about 6.5 feet wide these days. Used to play offensive and defensive line and crease and center crease and field lacrosse, and those things every one of them would kill me today. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and I also refuse to change my pre-COVID profile picture from before the massive weight gain sitting on your ass for 2 years. I'll look like that again. I'm not changing the profile.
Sure, yeah. Diet starts tomorrow. Yeah, no, I kind of catfish Deli, and that's the funny thing. The picture that Deli had for our first interview, people joke that I look like I was 12. I was I don't know, mid-30s or whatever it was. I mean,
you looked young. I remember seeing it being like, what?
That was before kids and fatness. So you have 4 kids and then pour on 60 pounds or whatever. Yeah, you're gonna age, especially the kids part. But yeah, that was at the time, it was 6 years old. It's just the only headshot I had. Yeah, it wasn't
pounds,
that old.
You're an amateur.
Yeah. Oops.
So all right, let's check chat. Chat, if you got questions, you can ask them. I have more, but I do want to acknowledge we have this is a very small stream. Generally, I think we have 20 people. Right now we have about 90, which is, we're quadrupling 5 times and quintupling today. But Bear, Gary, Speed Skater Girl, Cretan Trader is always here. Stock Camp, good to see you, Bruce. WeWop, my relentless promoter, Just Gary, Goes Bear, of course, and Denny and OG. Just had to do that real quick. Sorry to be obnoxious, but it's you. We really appreciate you coming, all of us that have been here for the past couple months, because this is not what gets the hits typically, and but it is getting results according to the audience. So
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is like my students ask me a lot, about mental issues, and I'm like, my brother in Christ, I am not your mental coach. Here's like they talk about discipline or whatever, and like they'll tell you my method is like, hey, how about don't be a bitch? How about like you just have some fucking discipline and like don't do stupid shit? It's like, I mean, I don't know, like that's not me. I'm not gonna try to be that guy, but I mean, it's the issue. It's the impulse control, and I think you think like you've dealt with addiction, psychology and the past. It's the same thing. It's impulse control and compulsive behavior, and we all do that shit. So
it's we got to take care of our nervous systems. Most of us don't do it very well, and it's funny because I was thinking about you and your trade psych, and like, what do you do or how do you know when you're struggling, like mindset wise or trade psych wise? And already in what you're saying, martial arts probably helped a lot when you were a kid, whether you know it or not, because you were, maybe you do, obviously, but while you were at that age doing martial arts, like your anterior cingulate benefited quite a bit, which is a really important part of the brain for trading. So I see that. Obviously, you got the math skills. Pharm students are usually really organized. I worked at a university for a long time, and a lot of as a therapist, and I had a lot of PharmD students come through, and they were all pretty like
messed up.
What's funny? They were
alcoholics, divorce, do drugs. That's pharmacists generally.
That was the precursor. I had them when they were young. They were still grad students, but my perception is always like kind of buttoned up, uptight, super organized, and I'm like, Pharm is not. This dude is not uptight. Did you fit in Pharm school? Did you? No. I was gonna say you had to be an outlier. You had to be, because every Pharm student I met is such a not who I'm talking to right now. Is all I guess what I can say.
Yeah. No, I never went to class, so it's kind of hard to fit in. But like I literally, it was a means to an end. My dad was a pharmacist. He told me not to do it, so naturally I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a pharmacist. That sounds great. He says not to do it. It wasn't really one of those things, but I bought the top in pharmacy, like literally, like we all talk about, like I bought the top. Because it had just gone, like my dad was making like 50 grand a year or something like that in, I want to say, the late 90s, right? And in a span of like 2 or 3 years, there was such a shortage that he was making like 150 with overtime. Like he would work a weekend and get like $2,500, and we'd go to the beach. And I'm like, well, it's just kind of nice because I don't want to be in school that long. Like I don't want to do medical school and like residency and all that bullshit. Like, because I wanted to start a family. Like I didn't. This was before like I knew I was gonna be with or whatever, but like I knew that I always wanted to have a family. And so I didn't want to be stuck for 12 years or whatever. So I was like, well, it's kind of quick. I could get done with my prereqs in a couple of years if I push through and, be a pharmacist, make, 6 figures and just be done with school and move on. And I bought the top. I mean, literally, if you look at like starting salary, what I made, like it's different because I did other things and, my salary grew, but like starting pharmacist pay, when I graduated in 2000, I don't know, 6, I guess it was. It's basically the same as when I retired last year. So like inflation adjusted, like you ate shit as a profession. It was not
I did
good
not know that
at all. So yeah, a lot of schools cropped up. Anyways, people are bored with this, but yeah, no, I bought the fucking top in pharmacy. It was fantastic in a not very fantastic way. But I didn't fucking go to school. I didn't go to class. I just kind of show up, take tests. It's fine. My patients won't mind later on in life.
Fascinating. I had no idea that was the case. So that leads to my next question, though, because I'm curious about how you did Pharm school, all that stuff. So you were not the typical student. Now, if I think about you, your trading seems pretty technical to me. Supply and demand, volume profiles, balances, yada yada. You're discretionary, though. Obviously, we're mostly all discretionary traders. I don't know who thinks they're a quant out there, but you're probably not. How do you know when to trust yourself versus not? How do you know
Yeah, I
when
mean,
you're bullshitting yourself?
yeah, no, I mean, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of like vibe and feel that goes into this, and a lot of that takes screen time, and that's something that like not everybody has, and it's really hard to teach
Not
to
possible.
really have that feel. Like, yeah, it's if it's not impossible, it's very nearly impossible. I've had a couple of students pick up on some of those things, and they've got it. Um, and when you have it, and you're in the zone, I've got like I pinned this tweet. I don't even remember the tweet, but go look at the pinned tweet or whatever. It's from Facing Nolan or whatever. About being in the zone. And so once you've been in that place, where your technical analysis is on point, but like your vibe and feel is also on point. Then you feel very confident, right? Which sometimes, of course, can be when bad things happen when you're too overconfident. But over time with experience, if you can know that you are in that state, then I don't give a shit what anybody says or what. Like if I have something that I've decided that I'm going to do and I have a read on it, I'm going to take it. So my confidence is extremely high when I'm in that state. And when I'm not, I just, kind of sit back and shut the hell up a little bit and see how things are going to go. And ES is just going to put in high a day exactly where it was supposed to keep things interesting next week, huh?
I took my trading view down so that I wouldn't freeze up
I should. I should not be peeking, but I was looking at. Okay, everybody knows I'm short right now. I mean, like,
you gotta be who you are, man.
I had to cover a few. You see me looking down here at my phone. I'm like, yeah, it had to be done. Like that. There's some spots like you're gonna, you just got to sell them. But
yeah, I trade a lot of. I use a lot of standard deviation of VWAP trade type stuff, and those are tough to ignore. You get stretched out to the third one. It's tough to get me not to trade it. So I'm also curious about, so you're managing, and like you're doing this right now, I guess. You're managing positions. You said you can be in that room 20 hours a day sometimes. How do you manage your own emotion versus like the emotional contagion that can happen in a Discord room? I mean, they can be a huge benefit or a total disaster for someone's trade cycle. And of course, everywhere in between, but it seems like to me the extreme. So like you're managing yourself. It seems like you've got I would say your temperament is pretty well built for a trader. You probably have some advantage there, but like, how do you deal with that piece of it? Especially if your mindset is like, just fucking be disciplined or whatever.
Yeah. My recommendation on like maintaining emotional stability is just be a sociopath and not have any.
That is the easiest way.
I'm half kidding, but only half.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I've always been very level when it comes to that. Like I can get, very emotional, but generally just very laid back and chill. And you're right. Like it's usually anger. But like it takes a lot. It takes a lot, especially when you have 4 kids. It takes a lot. I mean, we had a guy that was in the room that, I mean, like, honestly, like if I had to guess, like if I was just going to put a number, like probably cost my business 6 figures over the last couple of years. Oh yeah. I would, that's probably about right. Just because people could not stand being in there. There's so much drama. People would leave. Yeah, like it was bad. So like, and of course there's so many people in there. There's so much going on. I don't always see this stuff. Right. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's things like that like, once I kind of finally, realized what was going on and like that this guy was really pushing people away and they just didn't enjoy being there. And it wasn't the environment I had that, I kind of had to do a little nudge there. But it takes a bit to get me heated. But if you do, like, I'm pretty much gonna like murder your family and eat your dog and then, throw you off a bridge or like whatever. Like it's gonna be bad. My kids call me Maximum Dad.
Sounds reasonable.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like the kids call me Maximum Dad. My daughter nicknamed me that because like for me, it's like, I'm just chill, and then it's just like, but if there's any infraction, it's max consequence. like here it is. Like I remember like we went to get ice cream and like the 3 boys were like screwing around in the back. And I was just like, you know, if you guys want to be quiet, I'm literally going to throw your ice cream out the window. They're like, no, you wouldn't do that. My daughter's like, oh, he fucking will. He's crazy. So the nice thing is, like, you know, kind of once you throw down the holy shit, that guy's crazy. That you know, anyways, kind of got off.
You
track
know
there,
something?
good stuff.
I think I think that actually has a parallel to trading, because here's why. You manage to throw your kids ice cream out the window, and they know that you love them. And you managed to throw you managed to throw your kids ice cream out the window with love. Did they laugh?
Well, see, in that case, I didn't have to, because my daughter was like, no, he will do it. Like, he will do it. I did, though. Like, I mean, I threw away a toy gun, and like I've had to do these things like once, right? Like, you just got to do it once. There's like a toy gun. I'm like, I'll throw it away. They're like, oh, no, you won't. I'm like, huh? Okay.
It's the dialectics. It's the extremes that you can.
Yes.
When you can have the extremes and find that middle ground, you're golden. It's even with trading. It's dialectical thinking. Google it, people. It's good stuff. So I'm gonna give. Let's see. We should wrap up pretty quickly here. I've taken a lot of Pharm's time. If we got a question in chat, go for it. Someone says, shout out AJ. Hey, AJ. Is AJ your guy?
He may have been a character in one of the stories recently told.
It's
possible. I you know, I don't know. Maybe they're talking about somebody else. It's possible.
And Gary says a good buddy of his is an unregulated pharmacist.
Yeah, many of us are, right?
Yes. One of my friends is an unregulated farmer.
Got it.
All right. Questions. Do you ever trade sectors? Pharm is one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll trade whatever. Back I will trade whatever. Like back, I just go where the money's easy. So like in like 2001, everybody remember the SPAC bubble? Like there was a time where for like 6 months you could just like, I don't know, park 10% of your port in a SPAC, and then one day it would rip 45%. You're like, cool, I'm out. So like I just go where the money is easy. I mean, it became you know, once like 4 kids happened, and going back to the office, it was like, okay, well, I kind of need to focus because I don't have the time to like screen all this shit. So like now I just don't have time. But then of course there's tax benefits, you know, as well to trading futures, right? So taxable rate. But I will trade whatever. It's just for me an issue of like time. You know, I'm usually rushing after the bell to get my plan out and then like go pick up one of the kids or drop one of the kids off or do something like that. So for me, it's about time. I actually enjoy it more, trading individual names or sectors. And so like once in a while, we'll still do some swings here and there on some sectors or individual names or whatever. And I still, you know, manage my own long portfolio. And so buying stuff here and there. But actually, when I actually first started more kind of actively trading, like not just buying a stock, I started with sectors, and I would just like do quarterly, you know, maybe 6-month swing trades. So I just literally would look at candles on like a monthly basis or quarterly basis and swing trade ETFs or whatever, just as like a little extra for the long-term portfolio. So this was like 2009 probably to 2019 or something. That's all I did was just trade commons out of my long port. I took like 10% from my long portfolio and started like more actively managing with, I guess I would call swing trades, but longer swing trades. And then just kind of progressively shorter and shorter time frames as I kind of moved on with things. But yeah, I'll trade whatever.
Okay, cool. My last question for you. So you've seen traders blow up. You've seen a lot of stuff. You've had you've had a tremendous amount of students. You have a good training program. Leslie speaks super highly of you. Not everyone I've ever talked to does. That like is like that I know I can get real talk from and who know you. So someone has your system, your analysis. I know you make a point to not just like alert and have people being idiots. Like you want to teach you teach people to fish, so to speak. So someone has it, they have they're training your system, have your analysis that you share all the time, and they still self-destruct. What is going on with them?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Like, that's why I'm here, right? Like, we've talked, I know that you know what you're talking about. You know,
thank you.
Medical professional, and have, you know, worked in places and deal with some of these issues. Right? Like I said, it's a very similar to addiction with a lot of these people and impulse control. And it does not matter what you know. And there's so many people that are looking for like the next indicator that'll be the solution to their problem. Not that mine's like an indicator, right? It's just more teaching again. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I teach you. There are some students, and like some of them, like, you know, maybe you'll work with, or, you know, maybe they'll tell their stories. Maybe I'll have them tell their stories sometime. That, like, I mean, in terms of like reading what's going on, I mean, they can run circles around anybody out there. But it doesn't matter if they don't have the discipline to follow their system and to, you know, make unemotional decisions, or at least stay regulated, right? And so definitely a number of them have blown up. And like, you ask them and they're like, wow, because I was a fucking idiot. You know, this is what I did. Like, I just lost it. And you know, it was a trend day up. I knew it was a trend day up, and I just kept shorting it. Like, I don't know why, right? They just lose it, right? And you shit the bed. That's what I say. Okay, well, you just shit the bed. Everybody shits the bed once in a while.
Yes, they do.
So yeah, I mean, that's why, to me, that's why we're here, because like, it doesn't matter. You know, I can teach you everything you want to know about how to trade a market, how to read price. And that helps with confidence, you know, from the mental side. It definitely helps with that.
Education is the start. It's the foundation for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you can't have confidence if you don't know what the hell's going on. But I mean, still, if you completely lack the ability to control your impulses, it doesn't matter. If you can't maintain some kind of regulation throughout the day. And that's the biggest problem with day trading, right? And that's why so many day traders fail, specifically because like prices flying around, extremely fast, rapid movements, extreme leverage, right? And so you not only must have to analyze the information that's coming in, you then need to analyze it correctly, right? And make an appropriate assessment without letting it influence you emotionally. And like, that's impossible. Like, it's borderline impossible.
Exactly.
I mean, you kind of have to be a sociopath to like be able to do all that and not like get spun around sometimes.
Sociopath or some neurodivergent type thing. But outside of that, you got to deal with it.
It's hard.
It is. And the point you're making, the relationship with addiction and stuff, it's that, you know, all-encompassing aspect of addiction. Trading can be all-encompassing. There's a zillion things to do, a zillion things to learn. And, you know, you use the word regulate and you know, discipline and that kind of like, I don't know, I was an idiot. And like that right there is the thing that so many people miss. And even some of the older trade psychology misses is like, they have all these great ideas, but they're all completely irrelevant if you're in a sympathetic state. If it just does not matter. And the time it takes to train, the effort and the ability to regulate yourself and to know when you're not regulated is going to take as much time as it takes to learn charts. It's got to be done. And not that many people are willing to do that. And it's very interesting when people, what it takes for people to become willing to go and do that work. Because unfortunately it takes disaster versus, and when really it's pretty ideal to try to fix the roof when it's sunny. But a lot of people wait until it's there's a hurricane.
Yeah, that's right. And I encourage all of my students to not spend all their time looking at futures, because and when I say futures, I mean day trading, whether it's 0-day tax-free. That throws in another emotional wrinkle, right? You know, because you can be right and premiums all over the place. But anyways, my point is, like, take this knowledge and like go buy a stock based on this, right? Like, with some size that you can hold it for 3 months, it could be up or down 10%. You don't give a shit, but like, you know, start to practice, you know, the actual implementation of this knowledge that you have outside of these hyper acute emotional situations. Like, how many times have we had a bunch of like 10 different options positions on, And then the market opens and shit's all over the place, right? First 5-minute candle, you're just like, ah, right? You just freak the fuck out. And then you do something stupid and then account blown, right? Or like, you stop out of a trade that you shouldn't have, or like,
Or
you stay in a trade
paralyzed.
that you shouldn't be. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like there's like, if I can't do that, so I don't do that. Like, I'm not going to have 10 different options positions on with any kind of size. And then the market opens, like, that's just like, you're just asking to get wrecked. So yeah, I mean, that's, try to avoid those situations where like, that you're just going to get spun around. So I don't like making decisions at the open. Most people can't. It's wild. I can sometimes if I see something that I like, but like, maybe avoid those situations where that your mental state is going to become a shit show, because like, I mean, I don't know, like trading the open on ES is pretty nuts sometimes. So like, you damn well better have an amazing read on it to try to execute in that the first 30 seconds, the first 1 minute, the first 5 minutes. Like, okay.
And be an incredibly fast trader and have a really good system, or like literally, so you get some decent fills that exit, otherwise you're just wrecked.
Yeah.
And you said something earlier. What the hell did you just say that made me think about? I just lost my train of thought. But like, the piece of the puzzle that people call impulse control, discipline, that kind of stuff, that stuff is all true. And it's like, are you paying attention to how much sleep you got? Are you like, decision fatigue is real? Your brain burns like 800 calories a day. Your brain burns that. 5 pounds of protoplasm in your skull takes 800 calories to keep running. You think decision fatigue isn't real? You're crazy. And I've been trying to tell people, like, all you got to do is be a monk for like 2 hours a day and you're cool. Like, you can achieve that. It's all you can do. Anything you want outside of that. You can be a monk for like 2 hours a day. For me, that's ideally 10 to 12 Eastern. You have, there's the opportunity. But I think it's the 20 hours a day, the stress when you're trying to sleep, up all night, eating not enough or like crap or too much, whatever. Like, people don't quite realize the biology, destructive factors of execution and how much worse they can make you. So yeah, discipline's like more like the exhaust that comes out of a car than something you can just like access. I think that's an important thing for people to know, to start to see things differently. So I will not take up any more time. Do you have any parting thoughts for us? I would follow PharmD on social media. Check out his website. What is your website called?
PharmDcapital.com.
PharmDcapital.com.
Super creative. PharmDKS, because my initials are KS. Like, yeah, I'm really very creative guy.
A lot of time into that one.
Yeah, that's right. So, well, when I first started it, I only got on Twitter to troll the FDA. I was back when I was a pharmacist and I was a clinical specialist doing formulary review, and I would just get on there and fucking troll them and all the stupid shit that they did. So like, yeah, it was PharmDKS. But
by the way, when did you stop practicing?
February of last year, actually.
Really? That recently?
Yeah. Because
how do you do pharmacy and all this stuff?
Yeah. So I mean, again, like, I've sort of progressively over the years traded shorter and shorter time frames. Obviously, like, buying some commons and holding them for a quarter is not a big deal. And but yeah, so I kind of took a step down from my job. Like, I worked a big corporate job. Won't get into spend a bunch of time on that, but traveling a lot, that kind of stuff. Didn't really have a lot of time for it. And I wanted to get more active and get back into it. So I want to say like 2018, I took kind of like it was like my semi-retirement job, right? It's like actually sat in a call center taking phone calls, and it was veterinary pharmacy. So like, if I killed somebody's cat, just buy a new cat, right? If I'm not paying attention to it, like, I'm half kidding, but I'm not kidding.
So you were slinging a lot of ketamine is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So I would sit there and like, I mean, my boss, like, I taught him everything he knew and give him stock tips, whatever. Like, I do whatever the hell I wanted. So I would just literally sit there, this is when they brought me back to work. I would just sit there with phones on my desk. It was actually before we did work from home as well. I was mostly swing trading at that time. I would just sit there with phones on my desk. And then, yeah, we did the work from home for a few years and then came back. And so, yeah, there was a time where I was managing, ship posting on X, running the Discord, taking my own trades, and working a job. Got crazy cat lady on the phone telling me about her cat that's constipated, and like, I don't fucking care, lady. It's so bad, but like, I'm not gonna lie, I fucking care. I'd still give them the right answer most of the time. I only had to buy a few cats. I'm kidding. I'd buy a cat. So yeah, but my wife was a pharmacist as well. That was like the real question. It was like, so it was recently, but like the goal, because we have kids, was to have her like be the parent, right? Not just like send them to daycare. So we had her retire first. So first it was, build a bankroll and like be able to support her. That's when things got hard. When I had to make money to make up for that income. So like I very, very financially conservative. And so I wanted to wait until I was like for sure set, kids are set, everything's fine. And then I'll go ahead and pull the trigger for me. But yeah, we had her retire in 2019, I think, when she had our third, I guess it was.
Okay.
And that was a big step. So yeah, I waited a couple of years before taking the dive. Because I mean, I'm a boomer, but like still only 43, I think. I don't know what year it is. And got 4 young kids at home. So like, it's kind of a big risk to take, but
it is. Yeah. You actually answered one of the questions, and I don't think this was a troll question at all. Someone, I wasn't going to ask it, but you just basically answered it. The guy was like, how is it that, you're doing, or it was kind of like, why is it you're doing, ninja and education and trading? And it wasn't like, you're a scam. I don't think anyone thinks you're a scammer. But it was it was sort of like this genuine, like, why is that? And I think you just answered the question in a really good way, is like, he followed his values, protected his family and partner, and then did his thing. And like, that's very pragmatic. And your passion for teaching, is paying off. And let's be real, like, I have a workshop. I work with people individually. Trading is hard. When you can eliminate stress in your life, it's good. And when you have, multiple streams of income or a steady income, it is a lot easier to trade. It takes, your nervous system is happier with you when you're trading and you have a guaranteed paycheck versus you're trading and you do not. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of what it is, people out there. So
yeah, I want to comment on that, because please. I mean, it's so important. So many people, they want to be a professional trader, and I never wanted to be a professional trader, and I never have been. It has never been my primary source of income, and doesn't need to be now, because I made sure that things were taken care of first. But that was the hardest time for me as a trader in terms of managing emotion, was once my wife had retired. And then they brought us back to the office, right? Because while I was sitting at home, 5 monitors, I could make my money, and we felt fine. And then it was like, oh, you got to come back to the office. And it's like, really? It's a call center. Like, why do I got to come back? Right. So that was really stressful. And that was the one time that I was like really kind of tested and had to make sure to size down. Like I think for 2 months, I was slinging micros. There's no shame. Like I just needed to make sure I wasn't going to fuck up my account. Going back to the office, like, can I do this now from my phone? Which is obviously a lot harder than doing it in front of 5 monitors. But that was definitely a very stressful time. And I've told some of the guys, there were times where like I'd come home and then it's Asia session, which is always shit, right? I mean, except for now, they just buy every, price. It doesn't matter. But generally trading Asia is shit. So like you come home and then like, oh, I got to take a trade because who knows if I'll be able to tomorrow. And like, things happen, right? So when you have to make money in trading, it's a lot harder. And I knew myself that I didn't want to do that. So I could have retired and had my wife retire. Probably could I have done that? Probably in 2019. Of course, everybody thought they were, the greatest trader in the world, and they all retired in 2020 because they were just amazing. I mean, a lot of my friends in my circle, they did that. They quit, and then they ended up back at work like 6 months later. But I mean, I knew myself. Could I have done it? Yeah, probably. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to sit here for 8 hours and have to make money to put food on the table for my kids. Like, what? You know what a pharmacist makes? I mean, like most people do. Like, I mean, two pharmacist salaries is kind of a lot of guaranteed money to give up. You have 4 small kids at home. So yeah, for me, that was when fear was an issue, emotions were an issue. When I went back to the office and I had to make money. So I have experienced it just differently from most people. Most people are trying to make their living, I guess.
So how were you managing yourself differently then with that increased emotionality because of food, water, shelter, basic need, like protection? You know, like what were you doing? Did you do anything differently? Like, do you feel like, you know, obviously there's less pressure now. What was different about your trade psych then, do you think?
Yeah, mostly it was, I had to get off the slippery slope for me, because really the way that I had been when I was at home, again, it was nice. And this is where my discipline comes from. It kind of like, I kind of lucked into it, because like you're sitting in there, you're doing a job, right? You're getting paid to do that job. So I can just like be patient and like answer the phone and talk to crazy cat lady, or like message the dudes at work. And then like, oh, there's a setup, I'll take it. Right. No big deal. So it was, you know, easy to catch most of the trades, whatever. And then going back to the office, that ability to just kind of sit and wait was definitely a strength at first. But the problem was then when, you know, you miss the trades and you have to make money, that's when it was different, right? So then what I got on, and sort of where I started going wrong was like, oh, I got to trade Asia, or oh, I have to press this trade, or like whatever. And I just had to get off of that and say, well, no, I don't need to do that. And so for me, I basically just said, okay, you've been successful waiting for these setups. And like for me on ES, it was basically like I wouldn't even take a trade unless I was pretty sure I could get 30 handles. Not like for the full position, but like 30 handles is a big trade, right? It seems like a big trade. I mean, when VIX is 12, it's a really big trade. You're not going to get that. But like I wanted my target that I felt was reasonable, not just like make up a target and call it a good R, right? But like an actual, like, this is a technical target for this trade. Wanted it to be like 25, 30 handles, or I wouldn't take it. And so I just got back to that, because like, what's the difference between taking like 2 massive trades, like whatever amount you need to make? Say you need to make $1,000 a week. I don't know, whatever your number is, it doesn't matter. Like, what's the difference between taking 50 trades in a week and making $1,000 and taking 2 trades in a week and making $1,000 because they were really good trades? And that's
less decision fatigue and better longevity. That's
exactly right. So I had to get off the slippery slope was my issue. And just know that there's always a trade. Cause I mean, I missed so many trades, even just sitting there when I was at home, I missed so many trades, and I had to get used to that and be okay with that. And then going back to the office, I really missed a lot of trades and had to be okay with that, because there is always another trade. And so fortunately over years, you come to that acceptance. You're like, okay, yeah, there really is another trade. Especially with like, if you're day trading the index, like the next day opens, there it is. So it really, I just had to get off that slippery slope once I got on it, because there is always another trade. I would take like 3 trades a week when I was there. That's it. And then I would just update the other people that were taking 69 trades a day, you know, in the room, because like they can't help themselves, but they're all shitty trades for sure. I sent a picture once. I call them small banana trades. I went to the grocery store and I had like, you know, there was one enormous banana and then like one little banana. And, you know, of course I make a joke like, you know, these are my trades. These are, you know, your other Furu's trades or whatever. Like, no, they're actually your trades too, right? This little banana over here, you're trying to scalp in the middle of a, you know, tight range. Like, good luck, you know, with that. Like, just sit back and wait. And to me, like the people that, you know, if you tell yourself, and like, I don't believe in like hard limits. I cannot take more than 2 trades a day or whatever. Like, yeah, that's not necessarily the answer, because then you're 6 minutes in the bell and you've taken 2 shitty trades. Like, that doesn't help. But I mean, if you understand what the setups are and like truly just sit there and like wait for these specific setups, I mean, it's hard not to be profitable to me if you truly can have that discipline. You know what the setups are, and you don't take the small banana trades in between. So that's how I was able to stay successful. I really would take about 2 to 3 trades a week. And so,
wow. and what I'm hearing for, psychologically speaking, what I'm hearing is a few things. Acceptance is like massive. People want to be disciplined. Discipline is one of the results of acceptance. Acceptance is part of what's going to create discipline. I hear a lot of acceptance from you, and I hear a ton of two other things. Paying attention to the higher psychological time frames, I call it, which is your values or your why. That's like existential psychology, but it really sounds like perspective, acceptance. Obviously, you have a pretty, you have an unusual skill. You're good. You have an above average ability with numbers and organization, and to be a pharmacist, the memory and all that. I mean, you guys, there's so much data to hang on to and jumble around and access and pull out. So I hear a lot of that for people who are listeners and know, my system and how to do things. His detection is pretty natural. The direction is very important, and things are kind of blossoming from there. So we will wrap it up there. Acceptance for the win, says Bear. Your audience, thanks Bear. Your audience is a pretty feisty bunch. Respect the balls, Pharm D. Ask him about his calves.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a pharmacist in here who works from home and trades ES.
Sorry to hear that. Being a pharmacist, I mean, I bought the top. If you weren't here for that, watch the recording. Yeah, I bought the top in pharmacy.
Well, didn't they also? Like Gary says, my brain only burns 300 calories. Didn't they also nerf Pharm Ds? I remember some of my older Pharm D colleagues when I worked at the VA were all pissed because these new students were getting their Pharm D in half the time, and they were still getting Doctor of Pharmacology, and it was 4 years total or 6 years total or something from freshman to Pharm D, or they really made the requirements less than they used to be. You aware of this?
They certainly have now. Yeah, the first step was a lot of the private schools, which is why I bought the top. All the private schools swooped in to create more programs, and therefore they're more pharmacists. But yeah, a lot of them, and my wife worked at one of them actually. But yeah, I mean, they've dropped a lot of the PCAT requirements. It's like the MCAT, but for pharmacy, you don't actually need to pass it. It's fine. Things like that. But the year-round school was a big one with it. That's legit, I guess, if you're going year-round for 3 years instead of, normal school for 4 or whatever for the professional part of the program anyways. Yeah, there's been a few things that have been watered down just a little bit. And again, it's why there are so many pharmacists now. And why their incomes, their starting pay has gone pretty much nowhere and has gone down, inflation adjusted.
Yeah, Brian Fu, the pharmacist trader, says retail pharmacy is hell, and he went to a degree mill as well. Well, congratulations, you still got the Pharm D, homie.
That's right.
So as I started to say 20 minutes ago, I super appreciate your time. Go check out his website. His Twitter. PharmD_KS. I really have to thank you. I have a lot of gratitude for you coming out to a stream that normally we have eight or 12 viewers dedicated, and to come on here and show support and give our audience what they're looking for. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
And I hope to speak again, maybe work together in the future. And thank you very much.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me on. And, again, I do this because there are so many traders that could be something special. And, the one piece missing is that mental game. So I think if anybody wants to take it seriously, I have talked to Sean behind the scenes. He understands what he's talking about. I can confirm. And he's a fat boomer like me, so you can't go wrong with that. So check out his stuff.
Endorsement. And I'll give your people, we should work something out. I'll give them some kind of deal if they're interested in doing the workshop. But we could talk about that some other time. Sure. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it. You all could be anywhere, and you chose to be here. That is not lost on me. I appreciate you very much. Take care, everybody. We will see you Monday at 12:30.